Our next presenter is Kamrutzaman Khan. Kamrutzaman is a network engineer with over 10 years of experience in designing, optimizing, and managing IP networks in Bangladesh. He focuses on network optimization, bandwidth management, and expanding internet access to undeserved areas. His expertise spans IP MPLS routing, VPNs, and internet exchange peering. We have a video for Kamrutzaman's presentation.
Findings on IPv6 adoption measurement across the Latin America and Caribbean region. This study combines quantitative data from Ethnic Labs, RIP Atlas, and Google Statistics with qualitative insights from network operators to provide a comprehensive assessment of our recent IPv6 development status. This presentation will cover current adoption metrics, comparative regional analysis, deployment barriers, and evidence-based recommendation for accelerating IPv6 implementation. Then we check the IPv6 reality check. Let me begin with the current state of IPv6 globally and regionally. IPv4 address accession occurred in 2019 for Erin and 2020 for LAC. We are now operating in a post-accession environment where IPv4 addresses are transferred rather than allocated. Global IPv6 adoption has reached approximately 45% according to Google measurement, with ethnic represent 40%. This represents a steady growth of roughly 3 to 5% annually over the past 5 years. However, when we isolate LAC from the broader Americas region, we observe significant variance. While some LAC countries demonstrate strong adoption, the regional average remains below 35%, creating a notable gap compared to Asia Pacific and North America. This disparity impacts network scalability, operational cost, and infrastructure sustainability. Then we check our methodology combines three primary data sources with operator interviews. Ethnic Lab provides 25 billion daily measurement using DNS-based testing protocols across approximately 200 countries and territories. This gives us broad coverage and statistical significance. RIP Atlas contributes distributed probe network data offering granular performance metrics from over 12,000 active probes globally, including several hundred in LAC. Google Statistics reflect actual user behavior, measuring IPv6 capability among users accessing Google services, representing real-world deployment rather than theoretical capability. We conducted interviews with 23 network operators across the 12 LAC countries, providing both statistical rigor and operational context. Then our global context. Examine regional IPv6 adoption globally reveals significant disparities. Asia Pacific leads 47.83%, driven primarily by India's 77% adoption and strong government mandates in several countries. The Americas region shows 47.01%, but this figure is heavily influenced by North America deployment, particularly the United States at 48%. Europe demonstrates 31.82% adoption with relatively consistent progress across member states supported by regulatory framework. Broader Americas region adoption drops to approx 30%. This 17 percentage point to point gap represent a significant infrastructure differential. Africa shows 4.6% adoption, facing distinct challenges related to infrastructure investment and economic constraints. This variation correlates with policy frameworks and government mandates rather than purely technical factors. Then our next slide, IPv6 address block allocation within LAC reveals a significant concentration. Brazil holds 547 million address blocks, represent approx 48% of LAC total allocation. Argentina controls 346 million blocks, or roughly 30% together. These two countries account for 78% of LAC's IPv6 address space. Mexico, despite having the second largest population in the region, hold 46 million blocks, approx 4% of the regional total. The remaining 33 lakh countries collectively control approx 177 million blocks, or 18% of the regional allocation. This concentration suggested regional adoption will be heavily influenced by deployment decision to Brazil and Argentina. The next slide, I will see countries level adoption data reveals substantial performance variation. Brazil leads at 52% adoption, driven by large-scale high-speed development and strong technical community engagement through organizations like LACNOG. Argentina demonstrates 25% adoption with consistent growth trajectory over the past 3 years, indicating sustained deployment momentum. Mexico shows 15% adoption despite significant market size and technical capability, suggesting that factors beyond infrastructure capacity influence deployment rates. Chile, Colombia, and Peru each demonstrates adoption rates below 10%, while several similar LAC countries show rates below 5%. Notably, adoption rates don't correlate with GDP or infrastructure quality. Comparable countries shows 10 to 15 percentage point difference. This indicates the policy frameworks and operator incentives play determining roles. Then we see our growth trends, where we examine 5 years growth from insight into deployment velocity. LAC's IPv6 adoption grew from approx 25% in 2020 to 45% in 2025, representing an average annual growth rate of 4% points. Asia Pacific grew from 40 to 48% in the same period, demonstrating 1.6% points annual growth, but starting from a higher baseline. Projecting current growth rates forward, LAC could reach 60% adoption by 2030, while Asia Pacific could exceed 55% and North America would approach 65%. This gap represents significant infrastructure difference given LAC's 650 million population, with implication for net cost and end-to-end connectivity. Then we see our success story, India and Brazil. India achieved 77% adoption through government mandates, requiring IPv6 support for all public sector digital service by 2020, combined with Reliance Jio deployment of IPv6 only mobile network serving over 400 million subscribers. And Brazil success stems from three factors: market scale enabling infrastructure investment, ROI, strong technical community coordination through LACNOG and regional NOCs, and early academic network adoption, creating trained workforce and operational experience. Both cases shows government action creating market demand rather than working for organic adoption. Here we see operators interviews identified three barrier categories: policy gap 35%, economic factors 35%, and technical challenge 30%. Policy barriers include a lack of government IPv6 requirements and unclear procurement standards. Economic factors include infrastructure cost of 50,000 to 2 lakhs per medium ISPs and training cost 4,000 per engineer. Operators consistently stated technical barriers are solvable given business justification, the primary constraints is policy and economic, not technical capability. Then we see our performance. Where performance measurement address common concerns about IPv6 deployment impact. Latency analysis across 50,000 measurement points shows IPv6 latency within 5 milliseconds of IPv4 for 95% of connection, falling within normal network variation and imperceptible to end user. Throughput measurement demonstrates equivalent performance for native IPv6 connection with no statistically significant difference from IPv4 in controlled testing environment. Our reliability metric shows a greater than 95% TCP handshake completion rates and greater than 99% traffic success rate for IPv6 connection comparable to IPv4 performance. This measurement indicate that performance concerns, while historically valid during early IPv6 deployment, are no longer technically justified in modern networks environment. Then we see our operator insights. Operators interview reveal consistent themes across different network types and countries. One regional manager stated, "We are not opposed to IPv6, but we need clear business justification for the investment, and also government service don't support IPv6, so there is no user demand driving deployment." Our analysis confirmed this: only 20% of LAC government website are IPv6 accessible, creating a chicken and egg problem where operators lack business justification because the government service don't require IPv6, while government don't prioritize IPv6 because operator deployment is incomplete. This perspective indicates that deployment acceleration requires addressing systematic policy and economic factors rather than primarily technical assistance. Then we see our policy recommendation. We propose 4 policy intervention. First, government IPv6 vendors for all public digital service by 2026. Second, regulatory incentive including tax benefit or licensing advantage for IPv6 enabled operators. Third, public procurement requirements mandating IPv6 capability for government technology contracts. Fourth, regional coordination through formal partnership between regional telecom regulators. This address primary barrier policy and economic justification. Then we see our technical roadmap. On the technical implementation side, we recommend 4 priorities. First, native IPv6 deployment should be prioritized over transition mechanism, while dual stack provides compatibility. Long-term infrastructure should target IPv6 native operation with IPv4 as legacy support. Second, comprehensive monitoring infrastructure should be implemented from deployment initiation, enabling performance tracking issues, identification, and deployment progress measurement. Third, IPv6 specific security framework should be developed as directly retrofitting IPv4 security approaches may not address IPv6 specific considerations such as scanning, neighbor discovery, and extension header handling. Fourth, standardized configuration templates should be created and shared regionally, reducing deployment complexity and enabling smaller operators to benefit from larger operators' expense. This technical recommendation address the operational concern raised by network operators where providing practical tools for implementation. Then we see uh, which we propose to a concentrate 18-month action plan with measurable milestone. Quarter 1, establish a LAC IPv6 measurement working group with formal collaboration framework involving LAC, national regulators, and operators representative. Quarter 2 to 3, develop a regional development roadmap with country-specific timelines, milestone tracking mechanism, and progress reporting structure. Mid 2026, target 40% average IPv6 adoption across participating LAC countries, representing approx 10 percentage point improvement from current baseline. And Q4, we deploy shared measurement platform and implement comprehensive capacity building programs accessible to operators across the region. And lastly, to summarize LAC's IPv6 adoption shows significant variance with various primarily policy and economic rather than technical. Our recommendation focused on policy intervention, creating market condition for deployment, supported by technical resources and regional coordination. So contact me in my mail. Thank you.
Your presentation, the speaker unfortunately was not able to be available to connect. I'm glad actually that we have the recording. It's always there is always some surprise, and so thank you very much.